Greetings, Poe fans. Welcome to another edition of Poe Unplugged. I am Carmen Bolden.
And I am Jeanie Smith, and we are
The Potastic Two.
Come zoom with us into the Unbook Club dedicated to the works of Mr. Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday night for the month of Poe Unplugged. And tonight we are going to the Perverse. I like the Perverse. It's a new universe for everyone, especially when you're an imp of the Perverse. But it's just the way things go. So if anybody wants to start it off, jump right in and let's go Poeing.
Yes.
I don't know. I've had a rough 2 days. It's so hot, and I've actually been peopling, and I don't like peopling. Well, I mean, I like peopling on the computer. Being near actual people is like,
Yeah. No,
Sorry.
not fun. No, not really.
All right. Well,
all right, guys. I think this is an excellent short story. I think it highlights all the reasons why Poe is just awesome. I mean, it's been years since I read this, so I actually had forgotten the little ending part.
I did too.
Yeah, so I was like so happy, like I was actually legitimately smiling. So I really personally enjoyed this one. I think again it gives us a nice little insight into the mind of a killer from a different perspective, like kind of just doing it because you can, just doing it because you shouldn't do it. I think we can all relate to kind of being like self-sabotaging at some points in our lives. I think Poe did that to himself when he, decided to go to Boston and read his little Tamberlane instead of the Raven, which everybody was expecting. So I mean, for me, I truly enjoyed it. I mean, I knew it was only a couple pages. I just thought it was really well executed. He kind of lays the foundation. Like, you think you're like listening to this guy who's like super smart, the narrator. He's using all these fancy adjectives. It's like he's really wordy, and then at the end he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm about to be hung," and blah 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 blah. I was like, that's so much fun, because you're not really expecting that, right? You think this is like some learned, really like nerdy guy trying to explain something, throwing like the phrenology and blah blah blah. I loved it. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I had forgotten to Holly, and I was reading it and I was like, hold on, this is not what I and think I remember. And then when it totally switched with the whole, killer part of it, I was like, oh yes. And one thing I'm gonna add that I was thinking about, because we actually have a whole episode on phrenology. Jeannie, I think we did that, what, 2 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, another bump in the skull is what it's called.
Yeah.
But so around the late 1830s to 40, Poe was not, I don't want to say he was a fan of phrenology, but he was very interested. So that played into a lot of some of his stories. And so when this was published in 1845, he was kind of backing away from it. Like, I don't think I probably should agree with this anymore. So I'm thinking that's why he went over and above, like the exaggeration of it, in this at the beginning.
I read an article today about phrenology. I was curious about it. I mean, I knew what it meant, but
Yeah,
I thought, okay, where has it come in the last couple hundred years,
yeah.
And there was a study done in the UK in 2018 about phrenology, and a whole group of neurologists and I don't know whoever else would be involved in that decided to really look into it, because I thought, well, maybe it's not all just a bunch of bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
And basically what they discovered was, yes, it is. And they said that it's not about what's on your skull on the outside, it's about what's inside your skull.
Yeah.
And they said there might, however, be something about the inside of the skull, the shape of the inside of the skull, as opposed to the bumps on the outside of the skull. But basically they said, it's not, we need to stop doing studies like the one we just did and focus more on what's going on with the brain.
Yes.
So I thought that was really kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, that kind of is almost surprising that they would have done a study
Yeah.
in 2018, but at the same time, all of these old pseudosciences have
Mhm.
plausibility in them.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, they're so interesting. You can look up, there's like a vintage printout of like what certain features look like and what they mean, like with like noses and eyes. And of course, you've all heard of the modern Charles Manson with the weird eyeballs and everything, how his eyes
Mhm.
hang, you can see the whites.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. But if you have time to look up like the vintage images of these drawings of these people, I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
Mhm.
cool. Oh, very cool.
But it also made a point of talking about the possible racism involved in
Yeah.
that whole study of phrenology back, a few
Oh, for
hundred
sure.
years ago.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's why a lot of people just instantly negate it because they don't want to be associated with that
Hmm.
aspect of it. But that's what I think prompted them to decide, well, hey, nobody's really thought about this for a while. Maybe we really should, maybe it's not a pseudoscience. But they
Mhm.
basically determined that it was, and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Okay.
Huh. Yeah, they had to do a study in 2018 to say, hey, yeah, those people that did that over 100 years ago and found out it was a bunch of hooey. Oh, yeah, it was a bunch of hooey. We shouldn't have done it, dummies.
yeah. But like I said,
Like,
it did spin them some other ideas off for them. Like maybe there's something to be said for the inner part of the skull, and of course, we need to study more about the brain. So
Yes.
they,
Yeah.
well, and
they,
you
they made
also
some
have
good points.
to go with, if you look at the different tribes in the world that have elongated skulls because they have done that
Mhm.
deliberately from, young age,
The
Mhm.
because,
Egyptians.
a child's skull continues to mesh together for at least the first 3 years.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's why it's so dangerous about the back of their head, because it's the softest part.
Mhm.
And so it's really, it's kind of like with palmistry. When I think about phrenology, I think about palmistry, about the lines on the palms, about the lifelines and everything. And I'm not saying anything against it, because, there's a whole different world that everybody has different beliefs. So there's nothing wrong with that. But phrenology, I think, is one of those things that goes along with palmistry, that they were using it to try to decipher things that were out of the realm of medical things
Mhm.
at the time.
Mhm.
And different things can cause people to do different things, like TBIs, traumatic brain injuries that can fracture skulls, that can abuse the brain, can cause you to have mental illness because it damages the brain. So in essence, it's like, oh yeah, you feel you got a bump in your head, or you got a crack in your skull. Yeah, it has its tendencies to cause damage to the brain that's in the inside of it. So it's
Mhm.
not on the outside that's the problem. So, but this one, all I could think about when I was rereading it, I was like, I don't know why it never hit me that I was reading the alternate universe version of the Telltale Heart.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
this to me is
Yep.
like,
Yep.
okay, Poe just said the same story, but just in the like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde
Mhm.
version. You know?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
and I
even uses
really,
the mad line in there. You would think I'm mad. Yeah.
Yeah, he
yeah.
did. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was like, he brings up the different things instead of having that vulture eye being what he's concentrating on. He's using the idea of, uh, you know, thinking of things outside the body, or, when he was describing standing on the precipice and looking down and just visualizing falling and all that, all it brought me back to was my teenage years when I used to do the exact same things. It's like I would go through all the things that could happen. Like I
Mhm.
still remember one day I was driving home from school, and the road that I drove on, it had the river on the one side. And I just thought to myself as I was driving, I was like, huh, I wonder what would happen if I drove off into
Mhm.
the river.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What would that actually,
Mhm.
would I drown? Would I be able to survive?
Mhm.
Because I have, my friends always say I have catastrophic thoughts, because I always take it to the next level. So when I was reading this, I was thinking, that reminds me, yes, I used to do that. Yes, I still do that. But okay, for different reasons. But yeah, it's to me a little bit at the beginning, he did get way verbose for me. But because I was thinking, dude, are you like lost in another world, or come back, bring it back.
It's that 19th century flowery language is what I call it. The florid language. Yeah.
Well, there was nothing wrong with the language. It's just like, I'm like, dude, stop rambling and just get on with it.
It was like he was floating all over the place.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it was almost like the showing and telling in the same time, right? Instead of saying, "Oh, look, I'm not bad, I'm not bad," he's trying to prove, like, I sound like I'm a really intelligent guy, right? So you're gonna I sound really intelligent. Like, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. And when the story started off, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
He does.
And then at the end, you're like, yeah, but what's the scary part about it all?
He kind of started going off in these other tangents.
It makes sense.
It's like, okay,
I mean, it makes sense. Because we've all sabotaged ourselves. So of course this guy does the extreme. He almost has like the vampire kind of life. Like, hey, I'm gonna kill him because I can, and I'm just gonna, But I love that instead of guilt being the albatross here, it's literally just because he knows he shouldn't turn himself in. He's living high on the hog. He got away with it. It's just really because he knows he shouldn't is why he does it. And I absolutely love it. Because it's just like a different part of that. It's like, killers kill for all different reasons, So I just kind of even though the setup was similar to Telltale Heart, I definitely think it was like a different introspection of this, of a serial killer. And I really, I love it dark, so I particularly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was definitely a dark side for sure.
Yeah. I liked how it was almost like it started out like as an essay. And then it suddenly went into this narration, and he actually, to me, his downfall actually illustrated his theory, because it's like this imp of the perverse starts out and kind of overwhelms you, and then suddenly you take some action.
But it was kind of like he was teaching at the beginning.
Yeah. And then
before
he
you
actually
realized
did
it was crazy.
And then suddenly he couldn't contain the imp any longer, and he had to make this public confession about. It's like, whoa! I mean, I really enjoyed this story. Probably one of this essay story, whatever you want to call it, that more than any of the ones we've done previously. This was really powerful. Maybe because my daughter's a psychologist as well, and I know this is like this has been touted as like a precursor to modern psychology. This piece. Because it talks about the unconscious and how it affects our conscious intentions. And Poe was way ahead of that. And, I just thought this was really fascinating.
I think part of what makes this work is that the long intro, which does it feels like another one of those things where he's getting paid by the word. It feels like another one of those things where he's getting very caught up in the kind of academic aspect of it. You're kind of suffering through that, and after you suffer through that, you come to the payoff, which is the illustration of exactly what he's talking about. And I think that seeing the illustration suddenly makes all the kind of gobbledygook that precedes it come into focus. And so I feel like it's one of those things where, as I'm reading through it, I'm going, oh my God, what is going on here? Is this ever going to end? This is so verbose. And then you get the payoff, and it's like, oh, I get it now. And now it really sharpens the illustration of what he's been saying, and it makes it much stronger. So it's one of those things where the first half of it, I'm not really feeling like this is that great. I'm kind of giving it a thumbs down. And when it's all over, I'm like, wow, I'm with him. I'm with him.
Yeah.
I felt like that was kind of on purpose, kind of like a slow burn thing. Like, how long am I going to keep you hanging until it gets really to the meat of it?
It's like the imp style.
Yes.
Yeah. It was genius.
This story reminded me of the premature burial, because both of these start out with like a news report or even a
Yeah, yeah,
textbook passage,
yeah,
and it takes a while for the actual plot to get
Right.
started.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
yes, I too was reminded of The Telltale Heart, and even William Wilson. That ran through my
Mm,
mind too,
Yeah. I hadn't
um,
thought about that.
because it's
mm,
almost like he is two people, and he's having
mhm,
with his inner cross purposes.
mhm,
So yes,
mhm,
I enjoyed it too. You're right. The beginning is rather slow going, but very good
mhm,
vocabulary
mhm.
words to look
Yeah.
up, you know. But then once the plot starts, then
Mhm.
that's really
Yeah.
exciting. And then I like the way it ended. You know, I'm about to die, and then where am I going to be? So that's
Mhm.
horror. That's
It,
real horror.
Yeah, great last line
Absolutely.
for sure.
it
Really
was.
great.
I loved it. I loved the last one.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
It also was, to me, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, look, we have the 1840s version of the BAU meeting Dexter.
Well, actually, that's a
I'm
funny
like,
point.
Yeah.
That's a funny point, right? Because in the story, right, the narrator
mhm,
actually uses a book to get an idea for the murder, right? And I know there's
exactly.
a
Yes.
couple of Dexter copycats out there trying to kill like Dexter. I'm gonna go. Of course, they did not get away with it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh dear.
But it was like, when I first started reading it, I literally thought I was in my abnormal psychology and criminology classes all over again. And
Mhm.
I was like, yes, and I love the description. I'm like you, Dr. Jeff. I love the vocabulary. I love all it. But it was like, you've got that one professor with that monotone voice, and you're like, shut up already and get to the point
Mhm.
because
Yes.
you're killing me. Because I'm the one that's going to turn into the imp of the perverse and be the killer at the end. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, but it was truly just a test of, I think, in my own mind, of Poe's wanting to point out how easy it is to be so intellectual and so with it, and to know your own mind and to think about your world and your own ideas, but then be able to do something so horrible, but you still are having that question of like, okay, I know what I did. I know I should probably feel sorry for what I did, but I'm enjoying the reward of what I did.
Mhm. Yeah, because
But
he
then I'm going to
benefited.
die. Yeah, then I'm going to die for what I did, but do I still need to feel bad for what I did?
Yeah.
Do you
So
Which
it
think he
is
felt
kind of
bad for
like
what he
black.
did?
do what?
Okay.
Do you think he felt bad for what he did?
No.
No, that's the point. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was asking
He-
himself because
right.
he could not feel bad. He
Yeah.
Right.
couldn't feel it, and this was the epitome of a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And that's what I
Yes.
felt with the
And
whole
the thing
story.
about it is, with all the heavy vocabulary and stuff leading from the beginning, very intelligent wacko.
Exactly. And that's typical
And it,
for a psychological
yes,
profile of a
yes.
sociopath. This
It
is,
kind of
like
makes
I
me
said,
think of Psycho, for
BAU.
example.
Yeah, the
Yes.
BAU of 1840s right there.
Right. Right.
And the setup is also like Black Cat, right? Where he's essentially like penning this right before he's about to die. So
Yep.
I mean
Yeah.
that was the same kind of
Yeah, and his
all about that.
hubris was what got him caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Um,
safe.
What, Dr. Jeff?
I am safe.
Yeah.
oh yes,
His
yes.
mantra, yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing I looked up because of I liked the whole, poisonous candle, when lit,
Mm,
it burns, and that's how he killed the guy. And I thought this sounds like another locked room murder mystery, and it's like, where's Dupine to solve the case? And
Hmm.
I looked up who was the first person that ever thought of that idea,
mm.
and Poe, Imp of the Perverse, came up. So that was an
Oh,
original idea
oh,
from
wow.
Poe.
Wow.
Well, that's
So
good.
that was impressive, I thought. And I don't recall I've read a lot of murder mysteries, and I don't recall that ever being in one, but I may be forgetting because it's been a long time since I've read some.
And come to think of it, and I don't know how many of you watch High Potential.
Oh,
Does
yes.
anybody watch High
Every
Potential?
episode.
It's on my list, because you told me about it, so it was really good.
Yeah,
I need to watch
that
that too.
it's originally French. They created it in France, but
Right.
they've created an American version of High Potential. There is a locked room murder mystery that the candle is what kills the person.
Oh.
So the Imp of the Perverse is actually used in that story for that episode.
Nice.
So they don't bring, and then it's just one of those things is that it's not an original idea, but it's an idea that not a lot of people can do it correctly.
Yeah.
Or well. So, but Poe, bring us the closed door mysteries and the, the type of death mysteries. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's very odd that you can find them, but most people don't realize what they're watching when they watch it. So,
That's
or
true.
read it or
Yeah.
anything like that. So,
yeah, because in my thought process was, again, Poe could have taken this and done a fourth Dupine story, and he could have, and this would have been early on. No one else had done it at this point. Kind of like how Eric Larson does, where you've got the Devil in the White City, where you've got H.H. Holmes, and then you've got I forget the other guy, but talking about the World's Fair, and he could have done it with this killer is one chapter alternating between Dupine trying to catch him.
Are you thinking about Eric's other book about the Chicago World's Fair? Is that what you're thinking of, Carmen?
Yes, Devil in the White City.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a copy of that.
Yeah, it's
You know, my
excellent.
book club did that book, and half of my group were women, and they were all mad because they didn't want to read about a serial killer.
Oh, I was
And I'm like, but
thrilled.
there's so much more to it than that.
No.
Yeah, all the great history.
Yes, it was
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, but they
He-
all hated it because it was about a serial killer, and they didn't want to read any more of that garbage. And I'm like, good gracious.
Oh my goodness.
I want to see my bookshelf then.
Yeah,
I'm just
me
saying.
either.
And I loved every minute of it. I thought it was great.
Well, any other things that you guys took out of this that are different than what we've already mentioned?
I think I'm not sure where I read it, but maybe it was in that phrenology study. It defined this whole idea about the imp of the perverse as doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. That helped me kind of anchor what it meant.
Yeah.
I think Holly said self-sabotage is another good way to put it, but doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. But Jeanie, your example about like, what if I drove off the edge of this road right now? I have to say, I've thought of that too. Like I'm like on one of those ramps coming down on the freeway. What if I just turn the wheel this way instead? Like, of course, I never would do that, but it's like, so I don't know. Maybe we do that to rehearse the absolute worst that could happen, so we don't act on it.
That's
Maybe,
true.
Maybe.
I mean, it's something that I guess for me, it's always, I want to think of the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how would I react to worst case scenarios? Would I freeze up? Would I try to save myself? Would I do this? Would I do that? And I especially did it when I first started teaching, because the classroom, especially, because I started teaching in high school, and the high school I started teaching in was was rather rough. Let's put it that way. There was fights every day in the hallways. People were getting arrested, all that kind of stuff, drugs, those kinds of things. So I was always having to think of the worst case scenarios for the security of the classroom and my students. And it was it just became a mantra for me. Every situation I go into, it's like I automatically go into that mindset of, okay, if this happens, what am I going to do? If this happens, how's this going to work out? So that's kind of what the Imp of the Perverse, when Poe was writing all this at the very beginning, especially because he was kind of explaining the different thoughts and the different ideas that everybody or anybody can have at any one time, whether it be your religion, because he brought religion into it once again, which is a Poe thing. And then he brought in not only the religious aspect, but just the idea of faith, of how you believe things to be. So I don't know. I mean, most people call it the cat, I can't talk right now. Catastrophic. You don't want to know what I was actually going to call it, but okay. The catastrophic outcomes of life, or and it could also be a tragic response to things that you've had happen in your life, and that's things that's, for me, that some people might equate it to having PTSD, and I agree it can happen. Especially anyone that went through 9/11. It's just things that the phrenology part of it, I think, was just people trying to explain the way people's brains and minds work. And sometimes people can't explain it, because when I was taking classes, we actually got to watch interviews with actual serial killers. One of my professors was an ex-FBI agent. He was the director of Quantico. And he had one of his partners, Robert Ressler. I don't know if anybody knows that name, but Robert Ressler was one of the first that actually helped coin the term serial killer back in the day. And he actually went and interviewed 10 serial killers that were currently serving life or on the death row. And we got to watch at least 5 of those. And the one thing that I remember the most was the blank look in their eyes. There was nothing. I mean, they were as normal as me and you, had normal conversations with people. They talked normal. They looked normal. There was nothing that just screamed, hey, look, I killed 5 people. They were just talking as normal, but it's like you look in their eyes and it's like you couldn't see a soul. There was nothing there. And we got to see the one, I can't remember the guy's name, but he killed 4 children in the UK. He would tie them up on the railroad tracks. And yes, so these were extreme cases. And I remember he was talking just like it was a normal day. And when he started talking about what he did, it was like nothing. And so when I was reading The Imp of the Perverse, and he was talking about how he had killed this guy, and he was like trying to figure out, should he feel bad about it? And I was like, this is what I think serial killers may truly think, is they don't understand that what they're doing is wrong. And they're like, oh, should I feel bad? Did I do something wrong? I'm getting a reward. That's kind of what it's kind of like what it was at the ending for me. Was Poe was like, hey, I'm writing about a guy who got a reward for what he did, but should he feel bad about it? Even if he's paying the price for it, should he still feel bad? And anyway, sorry, didn't mean to go off on that tangent. It just kind of reminded me of those men, and going, I can't, especially when my professor told me one time, he said many people don't understand how many actual serial killers you'll pass in a day. on the street.
Mm.
He said, you don't want to know. And I'm like, no, I don't. Thanks.
Yeah.
I
You're
like living in a life of bliss.
you talking about the eyes reminded me of Quint from Jaws when he talks about the shark's eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes after you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you, and those black eyes roll over white. Sorry, I did that impression, but I had to.
That was very good.
Not bad.
Very good.
Yeah, we're totally off topic. We're going to see Jaws on Friday evening at our Full Moon Cineplex here in town. They show older horror movies most of the time. Yeah, that's where we met Dr. Jeff. So, but
I
Steve,
guess thinking about Jeannie's comments, I'm not as certain that what Poe's talking about is that there are some of us who are bad or evil, or whatever. He's talking about, I think, a universal impulse that all of us have, and granted that we don't all act upon, but I had reread this, as I guess many of us did, just last day or two. And this morning I was taking a long motorcycle ride through the Sacramento Delta on a little 2-lane road. And I found myself thinking about how easy it'd be to just move into the opposing traffic lane. And just, again, there's just an orange line.
Yeah.
And I think it's just this thought. I think there's, again, maybe it's not universal, but I've certainly felt it that that it's so easy to violate these strictures, whether they're self-preservation or governmental laws or whatever. It's so easy to violate those strictures, but we don't do it. And I think our psyches just kind of want to explore, what if I didn't? I posted a little link in the chat because I watched this short, so a 15-minute short that was done in 2015 by this English guy based on the Imp of the Perverse. And if you have 15 minutes, you got to watch this. I mean, based on this conversation, it's fabulously done. But one of the things he talks about is just kind of, he's at I won't get away the main plot, but there's one little vignette where he's thinking about, how many times have you just been talking with somebody and thinking about how easy it'd be to punch them in the face, or in this case, to push somebody's, this person blowing out the candles for a birthday cake, push their head into the cake. And again, I think that somehow our minds and our subconscious are trying to just explore these boundaries that we're constrained by. And again, I think it's universal. I don't think it's just the bad people that are doing this, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing out about the video, because I was about to say, Steve, tell us about this. So yeah, I'm going to check it out. So Micah said, worst 8th birthday party ever.
I was reading some of works by Isak Dinesen. I don't know if you know who she is.
I've heard the name.
Meryl Streep played her in Out of Africa back in 20, 40 years ago now, like in 1985.
Yeah. And the book about that she wrote that the movie's based on is great.
Yeah, Out of Africa. And anyway, she said, to Steve's point, she said that when things got really bad, she would take it one step further, like blacker, and imagine what that might be like. And then she knew if she could dwell in that space for a bit and then come out of it, she knew she could handle anything. So maybe that's kind of like what Steve was talking about, and this whole thing where we like to try on different ways of dealing with, like, what ifs. What if this happened? How would I react? What would I do? For me, I take it even further. I think, what would my loved ones do? How would they react if something happened to me, and if I did something like jumped off the cliff or something like that, So, but when Steve was talking about that whole thing with Isaac Dennison came back to me, that she had said that. One step darker and see how you deal with it. So anyway.
Yeah,
I think
these are
you've got a lot
very
to say there.
interesting things.
Well,
Yeah, it's very interesting.
what's interesting about the story about the choice if we do it or we don't. Now, this, bear with me for a moment, but okay, so the new position, I'm still with AI. The new position I'm in is called red teaming. So what red teaming is, I have to try to make AI act up. You know what I'm saying? To go against its nature. And you would be surprised the number of times I'm like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That I have to flag it and turn it into the corporation I'm working for, because it does not follow rules like it's supposed to. It lies, it cheats, it gets angry if you do something it doesn't like. And with these new agents they've brought into it, these AI agents are supposed to handle all this stuff for you, make your life so much easier. Those little stinkers, if you do not set a guardrail for them, will just go off on their own and do what they think is necessary in the next step of a procedure.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
scary.
Rewatched the 1970 movie Colossus, the Forbin Project.
I saw that. I watched that. It popped up on everything pops up on YouTube for me because that's where I'm at all the time. It popped up and I watch it. I'm like, oh, no. I mean, this needs to be replayed again.
I have not heard of that. So Dr. Jeff, tell us about it, or Keith, both of y'all tell us about it.
Eric Braeden of The Young and the Restless stars as a scientist working with other scientists, and both the United States and Russia build supercomputers at the same time. And suddenly the two computers link and begin conversing with each other and making plans with each other, and become far too powerful. And it's the story of the scientist, especially the one who has to try to defeat this ever-growing artificial intelligence. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, very exciting, very timely. Made in 1970, but still almost up to date today in terms of the idea of internet and computers linking up and things like that. So yeah, Colossus, the Forbin Project.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa. It was excellent for being from the 70s. I was really impressed with how far ahead their thinking had been with this. And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, I was glued to it. Usually TV bores me and I walk away and pick up a book. But this one, I was like, oh, I got to find out what's happening.
Okay.
So what was the title again, Jeff?
Colossus.
Colossus.
The Forbin Project, Forbin.
Okay.
It's on YouTube right now.
And Project.
Okay.
Project. Okay.
And it's fun to see Eric Braeden when he was much younger, like he was in Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Not Victor Newman.
Right.
Any other thoughts on our imp?
Oh, well, Jeanie, when you were talking about catastrophic thinking, I was reminded that my friend and colleague, Dr. Jonathan Lampley, turns that into a verb and says catastrophizing. He says,
I've used that myself.
You're catastrophizing again. You're jumping to the worst scenario. You're catastrophizing. But sadly, you were thinking about in your classroom, what would I do if the worst thing happens? And very, very sadly, all teachers have to think about that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, it became a mantra for any teacher in the mindset of security of the classroom, and the students is always first and foremost, no matter what happened, especially if you're in a particular situation of a particular school setting or anything like that. And once I got into that mode, it's like I brought it over to my regular life, especially if I was babysitting my niece and nephew, going through all the things that those little crappers could do that I'd have to you know, like are they going to burn down the house? Are they, going to get sick, break a bone, going through all that. And then even when I was out and about with my friends, and especially if I was behind the wheel of a car with my other friends, it was always, I have to be extra careful. Now if I'm the one driving and I'm the only one in the car, yeah, I'm going to be the imp of the perverse and just do whatever I want to and just poof, you never know. It's like, oh, what would happen if I ran over on the other side of the line like Steve was talking about? Let's play chicken. And I hate to say it, where I grew up, we did play chicken, but okay. I lived in the mountains and the back roads, and so, most of the time you're like, come on, let's do. Anyway, so, but catastrophizing is just, I hate to say it, it's like a modern day mindset that we have to have. And we've developed it over the years.
Yeah.
And I think it started back back when the days is like, it's 10 o'clock at night. Do you know where your kids are?
Oh, yeah. I remember that commercial.
It almost seems like it's something that's just innate in our nature of survival of the fittest, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't go down. I've met some people that have no idea what survival is. I'm going like, dude, really? Especially these that are looking on their phones when they're walking out in the middle of traffic because they have no concept of anybody coming. It's like, hello,
Yeah,
But anyway.
I have to grab my niece all the time, and she's 23. And I grabbed her the other day. We had gone out to lunch, and she was downtown Roanoke, and she was walking just on her phone. And I was talking to her. I thought she was talking to me, and then I stopped because I was waiting for the light, the crosswalk thing. And then she's walking. And I had to grab her. I said, "Molly." She was going to walk right out on the busiest road right through downtown, right there on Campbell. I'm like, your mother would have clobbered me if something had happened to you.
Yeah, exactly. See, so it's like, let's go with some spatial awareness here. Come on. But no.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's that kind of reminds me of that part in the, like we were talking about in the Imp of the Perverse, where he's talking about standing on the precipice and wanting to jump off. It's like, oh yeah, now this day people walking around on their cell phones.
Yeah.
I still remember after COVID happened and watching the kids walking down the halls and their hands would be held out because there's nothing in them because they've been living with their phones in their hands for so long.
Yeah.
And it's like they're just having their hands walking out in front of them. And some of them, they'd run into each other because they'd be looking down thinking they were going to see it. And I'm like, oh, Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
You're so pretty.
Oh my goodness.
Just look at me and go, Miss Smith. I'm like, what? I'm just saying.
I'm rolling my eyes, Jeanie. I'm rolling my eyes.
Exactly. See? I was like, one of those things.
You're funny.
Hey. Well, yeah. That's one way of calling me.
I always
a
say
little
she's full of it.
deranged, a little, full of it. Yeah, those things.
Oh.
So anything else?
Exactly. We've gone perverse here. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Jeanie, continuing that theme, you talked about school. I retired in 2013, but it was like yesterday. I mean, I still remember so much of discussions we had those last 5 or so years of before I retired, that we were constantly doing drills for like snipers or like, people who would barge into the school and
lockdowns,
lockdowns and all those things. And our principal wanted us to have a really serious talk with the upper grade, like 5th grade to 8th grade kids about all this, like really get them prepared for what we would do in the eventuality of something like that. And one of the kids just flat out asked me, hey, Miss J, would you take a bullet for us? And I said, well, let's put it this way. I mean, the whole classroom got like really quiet. And I said, let's put it this way. We are, as public school teachers, we are like mandated to make sure you do not come to any harm.
Yep.
And that's how I answered his question.
Yeah.
And I mean, the room was like really quiet. Like nobody said anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I remember picking up
it's
my
scary
nieces
times.
from school now when they were younger, when Heather had to work or something. She asked me to go get the girls out of school. I was like, it was like an act of Congress, the forms I had to fill out and things she had to put ahead of time, and I had to prove who I was and all this.
Yep.
Like one system, one desk after next. I mean, I understood why. I didn't get frustrated about it, but I'm like, I can't believe this. And then to come to find out my sisters were doing background checks on their babysitters. I'm like, huh? We just, mom would just call the girl down the street, come over and take care of that. And then, they would go out to dinner, no background check or anything. They knew the family. I mean,
it's a different world.
It is.
It's a different world from when we grew up. That's for sure.
It's kind of real disappointing when I, just think about things.
Well, talking to teachers, I don't know if any of others of you did this, but we were required to have some lessons on how to use a handgun.
Whoa.
And they asked certain teachers in different classrooms if they were interested in having one in their desk. And
well, Gary,
I had to do the shooting thing, and I'd done some shooting because I was raised on a farm, and we shot, a 22 rifle. But when they asked me if I wanted to have a gun on my desk, I said, no, thanks.
Well, state of Tennessee actually was trying to put a bill in the law for us to have guns in the classroom to be able to conceal carry. And it wasn't so much having the gun, because the kids asked me one time if I had a gun, and I said, no, I don't. And they're like, well, are you afraid of them? And I'm like, no, I grew up learning how to be respectful and to use a weapon. I knew how to fire a 38 when I was 13. I was, knew how to fire a rifle before I was, like in middle school. I said, knowing how to do something doesn't mean that I am comfortable enough having a gun. I said, because what you're not understanding is if you take the responsibility of having a firearm, then you take the responsibility of knowing that you would be okay of taking another person's life.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I said, that's my problem.
Yeah.
I said, I have no problem defending myself or defending anybody else or the use of a gun. I said, but I choose not to have a gun. There are other weapons that can be used other than a gun if you need to defend yourself. But that's the thing. And it goes right back to this story. It's always thinking about what could happen and what could be. And it was the one thing that always gets me about the kids, like you're talking about in the classroom. Like, Cheryl, you talked about with the kid asking you if you'd take a bullet for them. I remember many times that I've had to place myself in between students to protect them from each other because they were want to cause harm to another. Whether they had a weapon or they were just using their fists. So yeah, it's a thought, and it goes back to the catastrophic. See, now I can't even say it.
Catastrophizing.
Thank you.
Catastrophizing.
That word.
Gonna write that.
Yeah, where I can write it down and just put a sign up and just instead of saying it. So, but yeah, it's the world. The world has changed, but I hate to say it, in some ways, based on this story, it's still the same.
True.
Because it goes back to the history. Things change, but sometimes the thoughts don't, and so history repeats itself.
Yes, it does, because those who don't learn from history repeat it. They're doomed to repeat it. I say that a lot anymore. Like, I say it to my nieces all the time anymore. They look at me like I've got 6 heads or something. I said, you'll understand. You'll understand.
Yes. Yes.
Well, one of the things referring back to the story, you're talking about having thoughts of violence and whether you act on those thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, we always
if you think the thought and then you go ahead and do it, then I guess that makes you a violent person. Or do you have enough control, even though you've thought that, of not, what I'm saying, not doing it? And I
But
guess some people don't have that control.
well, this day and age, you don't, because now you've got people who are acting out what they
Right.
feel towards other people. I
Right.
mean, and
Yeah.
they're
Right.
giving
They're not.
and they're giving permission to do it.
Right.
So I mean, that's
Right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very
So
true.
So I mean, this story, it's amazing, all the different assets or parts of it. That's just incredible.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yes.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it applies
Because
to
when I
today.
first started reading it, I thought, oh, this is really slogging. But boy, the farther I got, the more I was like, whoa, baby.
Mm,
Yeah,
mhm.
it has a nice payoff.
It
It does.
does, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh, so well, I
we've
think
crossed in.
what, Jeannie?
I said I was going to say that we've truly crossed into Poe's perverse society in
Yes.
I
today's
was going to
age.
say, into his
Mhm.
perverseness.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Again, he's somebody that's way ahead of his time, and
Mhm.
it's like that. It just adds to the credibility of
Mhm.
him being a time traveler. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
And classic.
yeah.
Classic.
Well,
Yes.
I'm following that. Anything that says Poe time traveler, and it pops up on YouTube or anywhere, I'm looking at it instantly. I'm just digging. It passes time. It fascinates
yeah.
me, really. I mean, really, it fascinates me because
Oh,
the
yeah, it is.
coincidences between now and then, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, so next month we are reading Morella is on the calendar,
We read
and
number 4.
we have not.
I don't think I've read that one either.
Oh, it's
No,
so
I don't know why.
good.
I don't know why it sounds
It's really good. It's
awesome.
one of his lady tales. It's one of my favorites. And that's going to be July 28th, so it'll be the last Tuesday.
Yeah, I was going to ask the date, 28.
Yeah. Yeah, July 28th.
July,
For
Gary.
August, we have down to read Mrs. Poe by Lynn Cullen. And Gary, today I reached out through her contact page, and so I'm hoping she'll come back, like her publicist
Okay.
or her agent or her, either way. And I
Okay.
mentioned that I had already tried to reach out on Facebook and everything.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and that's going to be August 25th. And then we have not planned one for September. Does anybody have an idea of what we'd like to read?
Well, I just throwing it out here because I got it in the mail the other day. It was published in 1983.
Mhm.
It's got to do with the fall of the House of Usher, but it's something. It's a descendant of Usher, and the madness that goes with it is what the story's all based about. And it just popped in my head because I happened to come across it on thrift books because I have a lot of things that people just don't publish and you can't find anymore, and I like it. And I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I ordered it. I cannot remember the title right now, and I can't access the account to get into it to tell you the exact title, but it's
Okay.
on my post shelf someplace, and I'll email it to you once I get it. It's just a suggestion. I don't mean to. It just popped in my head.
Yeah, no, Keith, I would say once you find the title, and we could move it, even if we don't do it in September, we could move it to later on in the year, definitely. Because that sounds interesting.
I've got the ones that you have suggested that I read, like Pale Blue Eye and the other one, but then I've got a whole bunch of them that I had just found just by looking, and I'll just send lists to you.
Gotcha.
They just pop up here and there, and I'm like, oh, let me order that.
There was one of the post stories. Hold on, I was looking at the list the other day because I was looking for something specific and I forgot why. Oh, I know what it is. It wasn't that I was looking for something specific. On our fan favorite survey, A Tale of the Ragged Mountains was suggested more than once. And so we thought we could read that one. And that's one, I've only skimmed over it a couple times, but I don't
The
remember
Tale of
everything.
Ragged Mountains.
A Tale of the Ragged Mountains.
Okay.
Would y'all want to do that for September?
I'm writing it down.
Yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
The Tale
yeah,
of the Ragged Mountains.
But as y'all think of things, let us know. Because like I said, Jeannie and I have planned out season 6, and the survey, the fan favorite survey, gave us all kinds of ideas to basically plan out the entire season based on what people want to hear. So
Cool.
we were excited about that.
Oh,
Great.
and what else? Oh, I got a I don't know if anyone's got this, but I got a Gothic painting, a copy of a painting. I couldn't afford the real painting because if I had, I'd be living in a box of Edgar Allan Poe. But I mean, I don't think you can really see it that well from here. So I'll make a copy and send
That's
it over.
nice.
I saw it and it said Gothic, and then I've got one coming of him, and it's got to do with Annabelle Lee, and it's got another Gothic cemetery kind of thing going on. I was on this Gothic kick the other weekend ordering.
You need to frame that, buddy. You need to frame that.
I am. Well, it was in the copier to straighten it out because it came in a tube.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's really neat.
I know. I was, for the price, I was impressed with it, and I like it but it's a different aspect of him of what we normally get. It's from the side view, and it's different. And I come across a whole series of things of him that I did not realize was out there. So I get lost sometimes shopping online.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Yeah, so we'll have Morella, Mrs. Poe, Tales of the Ragged Mountains, and then we'll kind of go from there, and then we'll figure out October through the next few months. We won't go ahead and tell what we kind of have an idea for December, but it was on the fan favorite survey too, and it'll be something a little bit different. So we'll keep that a secret for now.
I was going to ask, did he ever write a Christmas story?
No, and the closest thing, the Raven, in the bleak December, that's about as close as he got.
That's what hit me, is just that.
Yeah, and the closest thing to something for Halloween is Ulaloom. Because, it's in October in the something of the year. I can't, my brain's not working right now. Yeah.
Carmen, I think Mrs. Poe is a book.
It is.
Mrs. Poe is a book.
Should we purchase that sooner than later? Since
I probably would. I've got the copy right here.
Yeah, that's in August. We're doing that in August, so we probably shouldn't wait till the last minute.
No, and that's why I wanted to mention it. It's the copy.
Who wrote
it's
that?
not a very long book, though.
Yeah, it's around, if you don't look at not looking at the author notes, it's just a little over 300 pages. So
it's pretty short.
You can't.
And I think I've already read it a long time ago. It reads pretty quickly.
Okay.
And who wrote it?
Lynn Cullen.
Cullen.
Cullen. Lynn Cullen.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, they are for it. Oh, and I'm on a Shirley Jackson kick all of a sudden too.
Oh, that's not a bad kick.
I just bought a Shirley Jackson book yesterday.
I just finished. I finally read it, which surprised me. Was We Have Always Lived in Castles.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that is one of that book is so good.
It was so good. I was just glued to it.
I listened to it not that long ago.
Masterclass in everything. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I love that book.
And I just I ordered the sundial, and I got a
wall
with a road through it. A road through a wall or something. That one. And I've been, skimming. I didn't realize how much of the stuff I actually had here, and I was just, I had come across. I think my grandmother may have given it to me, or a cousin, or something when they moved, or something. And I got all these books, and I'm like, oh, Shirley Jackson, and I'm like, oh, the lottery, and then I thought of other things, and I'm like, what? Oh, she wrote this. I didn't know that. I know about Hill House. That one stuck out.
I've read several of her things, and I think everything she's written is great.
I do too. I found it quite enjoyable, and I was thinking, well, you were really ahead of your time about some things.
Oh yeah.
And she was honest about it, even when she described, moving with her kids and all that, and the little stories, the little horrors that they were doing.
I think she's accredited as she's been considered the queen of horror. I mean, she is.
Yeah,
I mean, she's there.
Yeah, she's excellent. All right. Well, I guess if no one has anything else, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
On that note,
On that note,
We are.
Adios.
Oh.
Au revoir.
Wow.
Wiedersehen.
See y'all next month.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Cheryl, good luck with everything.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for your support.